Welcome to Season 2 of Under the Brim. Ladies, if you've listened to country music long enough, you've heard the warning sung far and wide by Waylon and Willie not to let your babies grow up to be cowboys. And maybe that's true, but I love to go against the grain. And I've really loved raising my cowboy into the Western way of life. Cowboys are just different, am I right? So let's talk about it. I wasn't born into the rodeo or Western way of life, and I had to learn some lessons along the way that were hard fought and I want to help other cowboy mamas find their way into true buckle mama status as well. Yeah, you heard me right. You've probably heard of a buckle bunny, but have you ever heard of a buckle mama? Well, buckle bunnies are known for being rodeo groupies, and who can blame them? There's a lot to love about the rodeo lifestyle. Rodeo is a rugged, demanding sport where the competition is fierce and it takes a village to survive. Like other top athletes, rodeo competitors have a unique set of skills, and they exemplify the glamour of competition. So who wouldn't want to raise one of those? So ladies, let's band together and learn from each other and figure out how to thrive in this rough, tough, and dirty world where we are constantly chasing our kids through the dirt, feeding them while they're horseback, and wrestling a fitted sheet onto a living quarters horse trailer mattress. I mean, if you know, you know. So come along with me this season here on Under the Brim as I interview the coolest rodeo mamas out there. You're going to hear from the up-and-comers and the tried and true, been there, done that mamas with all the secrets to share. Let's get together and share what we know. Here we go, buckle mamas, unite.
Me into the camper, like I'm literally sitting there in my car.
I know. I used to joke about there should be like Olympics for rodeo moms. Like, can you load the hay pod? Can you back the trailer? And biggest one is, can you change the sheets on the bed inside the horse trailer? Because
exactly.
I will tell you, I think I've burned more calories and sweat more from doing that than a lot of workouts that I've done in my life.
So frustrating. Yes, I get it. I get it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And some of those people were so organized and so prepared and had so much stuff in their trailer. I was like, wait, where do you learn these skills? Because I never got them.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of Under the Brim, where we talk about the mindset and motivation of the athlete under the brim. We're starting to season 2, and I'm excited to launch this new season and take on a whole new perspective and hear from a totally different audience this time about the perspective of the rodeo athlete. And instead of talking to the athletes this time, we're turning to the moms. And I'm so excited. As a rodeo mom myself, I think that this is really interesting because it's not something that gets talked about. And as we were just discussing, there's no place to learn this stuff. We didn't have TikTok to teach us all these skills. And it is a totally different life. And so I'm really curious to dig into the mom's perspective of being a rodeo athlete, and especially moms of male athletes. Learning what that's like, talking about the wins and the losses and the practices and dealing with a grumpy teenager. So that's hard enough as it is. Throw in money and rodeo and you've got a recipe for the ultimate reality show is what I always felt like. Let me just let her introduce herself.
Well, my name is Leigh Ann McFadden. I am the mother of Cort McFadden, Bullrider. He grew up rodeoing his whole life, and now he is a member of the PBR.
So let's take it back a little ways, and let's talk about you first before we get to Cort. First of all, did you tell Cort you were doing this?
Yes.
Was there anything that he said is off limits for you to talk about?
No, I just said, can I tell little things about you that nobody would know? And he goes, no.
Yes, I am. Yes, I know what that's like. I'm currently grounded from certain things in Cinder's life right now because of things that I've said. He's like, you're grounded.
I bet.
I was like, I don't think it works that way, right? Isn't it the other way around?
Right.
Okay, so I want to go back. So tell me about your history. You're growing up. Where did you grow up?
Okay, I was born and raised in Stephenville, Texas, which of course we all know is the Cowboy Capital of the world.
Which is where we are today.
Yes. So, you know, if you live in Stephenville, Texas, you are bound to meet a lot of rodeo people. And in the 90s, a lot of world champions started moving in here, and bull riders such as Jim Sharp, Ty Murray, Chuck Hedeman, things like that started moving in here. I suppose because of Charlton, they always said, that Charlton was a big rodeo school.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephenville was just a great location. You could have cows, you could have land here, but then you were also close to the interstate, and you were also close to an airport in Dallas. So it was a good place for cowboys to live.
I feel like that's the best explanation of why Stephenville became the Cowboy Capital that I've literally ever heard.
Yeah,
You know, and I lived here for 12 years, and we moved here specifically for that, to be in the Cowboy Capital.
Yeah.
So, but I've never heard anyone put it
Well,
as
you're also
concisely
very
as that.
centrally located too. There, you know, you can go to the airport in Austin. You can go to Dallas. You can go to Abilene. You know, it's just a very good central location.
And I always heard there was good sand here for like, especially
Yes,
for
for
roping
cattle and
athletes.
roping, and yes, on that end of it, the roping, yes, exactly.
So then when you moved here, did you have anything to do with rodeo? Did you grow up
No,
around
I
it?
did not grow up rodeoing. I was always interested in it. It always excited me, but no, we did not. I did not grow up with horses. Didn't even know how to ride a horse. No, no, not at all. But I just was always interested in it. And when I got older, I became a hairdresser. And so I had a lot of cowboys that would come to get their hair cut, and cowgirls. I did a lot of cowgirls. One of my clients was Charmaine James.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, barrel racer.
Little claim to fame.
Yes, and so I met a lot of cowboys through that and started making friends, and that's how I met Cort's dad. Was I cut his hair and
Then he asked you out. Wow, what a cute story. That's a cute story.
Yeah.
Like, what is it they call me? Call it now like a meet cute? Meet cute.
Yeah,
You had a meet cute.
I got to meet cute.
Yeah. That's interesting. So I feel the same way. Like, I don't know about if you know my background, but same thing. Like, I grew up in a very stereotypical neighborhood, right? Like, we played sports, and I grew up with other kids, but there were no horses, there were no cows, there were no cowboys.
Yes, right.
Really growing up, and the people that I knew that pulled horse trailers were they were not well thought of in my upbringing, right? Like, they got the hick.
Yes,
they got a
redneck,
hick.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, in Stephenville back then, like when I was younger, we were the dairy capital of the world. So there were a lot of country people, you know, but they weren't actual rodeo cowboys. So most of those that moved in here came later.
Okay. So you met Cort's dad and you started dating him. Where was he at in his rodeo career at that point?
Okay, so when I first met him, he was in college. He was at Tarleton here.
Okay. On the rodeo team?
On the rodeo team, yes.
Okay.
He started college in Big Spring at Howard College. 2-year school there, and then transferred here for a full ride to Tarleton, riding bulls. And so he was still in college when I met him, but I didn't really know how good he was. I didn't know much about.
You weren't following the rodeo
Yeah,
stats,
I didn't know,
and it
so-
wasn't as like there wasn't information about it everywhere like
Yeah,
there
it
is now
wasn't
with
like
the
the internet now. But I did, after we kind of got to being friends, I did hear that he had done real well in college. So I knew he was kind of a good college rider. So I knew it was good, but I didn't know. So after we started dating, I was looking at the paper one day, and he was like 22nd or something in the world, like had a chance to make the NFR that year. And I was like, what?
Hold on, wait.
I didn't even know that.
Maybe I like him a little bit more.
He's good. Yeah. So anyway, so I started going, and you know, my family jumped right on board with it too. My first date with Cory was to the Stephenville rodeo, and he won that night. So
Oh wow, that's a pretty amazing first date.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was fun, and I just fell in love with it. I love bull riding. I love everything about it, and I still do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, what was it like to be a rodeo spouse? Because y'all eventually went on and got married, right?
Yes, we got married, and he ended up doing really well. He won the Texas Circuit Finals, and he graduated college, went on to do the Texas Circuit, won the Texas Circuit Finals. Then we went to the Dodge National Circuit Finals in Pocatello, Idaho. And funny story there, he had inherited his grandpa's Cadillac, and we were broke then, right?
Yeah.
And so he sold the grandpa's Cadillac to get to the Dodge National Circuit Finals, and he did great out there and won like $7,000. And we were young, so we thought we were rich. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, and so that was like his first huge win, and then he started going to the. Getting on the pro circuit, and ended up making the NFR, and ended up getting in the PBR, and he did really well. He made the PBR finals and went to the NFR. The PBR finals, I think he went 5 times. He was a 5-time qualifier, and won second, third, and fourth at the PBR finals. So everybody says like Las Vegas was like his town. Like he did so good every year out there. He won the short round one year. He rode Little Yellow Jacket for 95 points, which was a 2-time Bull of the Year, and won the Lane Frost Award that year. And he just did good every time he was in Vegas. It was like, wow. Yeah, so our lives kind of changed overnight with that. And anyway, it was very fun following that and being a big part of that during his career.
So I want to hear more about your perspective of it. So when you're dating him, do you go with him to the practice pen? Do you have to take care of any livestock? Like, what is the day-to-day of dating?
We never had any bulls. We never like owned any bulls. So he didn't really do a lot of practicing. His practicing was at events because one year he was the only bull rider in the world to make the NFR and the PBR finals in the same year.
Okay.
So that kind of made him a little different during that time.
So if he's competing that much, there's really not much time in between the practice.
So the year that we got married, he was only going to be home 5 weekends that whole year. So I had to pick one of those weekends for our wedding.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I did a lot of, I was a single parent at the time. And so I had my own life at home. So, you know, we didn't ever have a problem with him being gone. He always called me every night, you know.
Yeah.
I trusted him. We didn't ever have a problem with that end of it. So, but I would try to go meet him places.
I was going to say, did you get to go very much?
Yeah, like I would go meet him. I'd fly somewhere and then we might take off for a week and, you know, go. But he was gone so much to try to make, because he was doing the PRCA and the PBR, he did both of them through that whole time. So he was gone a lot, yeah.
So you're getting phone calls, because again, this is before we have so much access to information. Mm-hmm. So you're getting phone calls. So what is it like when he's doing good? Like, what are the calls like? What kind of conversations are you having? And what is the dynamic of it? Like, how much pressure is there? How much stress is there?
Right. Well, sometimes we could watch it on TV, so I would already know, you know, because it would be televised. So I would already know what he did. A lot of times we'd have parties, you know, like me and my parents, you know, we'd sit around and watch it on TV.
That's cool.
But no, so, you know, I would always wait. I was usually asleep by the time I got a phone call, you know, but he would call and I'd be like, yeah, he'd be like, well, I want it or whatever. And I'd be like, what? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was pretty exciting. Yeah.
So then versus what was it like when it wasn't going well?
Oh, it was just be like, phone calls were shorter.
Yeah, I understand that.
Phone calls were shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually, and it's funny now because my son acts just like him.
Oh, really?
So, they're like spitting image of each other. So it's like, oh, when you're winning, you know, when you've done well, we're talking and we're laughing and we're all having a good time and we go eat and all this. But if they didn't do well, it's like, you don't even talk. We're going to the room, we're going to bed.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it.
So when you found out you're having a son, was there conversations about we're raising a cowboy, we're raising a bull rider, or?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, when we found out we were having a boy, I already had 2 daughters, so I still remember it like it was yesterday, finding out we were going to have a boy. We were so excited. Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, you think, oh, I'm going to have a little cowboy. And he was right from day one. But I will have to say, Cory and I agreed, like we talked about it, and we agreed that we would never push him to be a bull rider.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not something that we wanted to do, either one of us. So, but Cory always said, but if he wants to be a bull rider, I will give him the best opportunity that I can and give him, you know, all the tools that I can provide him to make him the best he can be, but I will never encourage him or push him to do it. So we both agreed on that.
Yeah. I remember when we found out we were having a boy, like, I did not think Jeremiah's head was going to fit out of the doctor's office. Like, he was like, I'm so proud, I made a boy, right?
I made a boy, yeah.
And immediately we went and bought a stuffed horse. That was the first thing we ever bought him. And we painted a picture of Joe Beaver on the wall in the nursery because it was like destined, you know?
Oh, we did the same thing. His whole room was all cowboyed out. We had little PBR toys in the floor. old friend of mine that used to make handmade purses named Stan Roberts. I still remember this. He made him a wooden bucking bull.
Oh wow!
Like
Instead
a
of
rocking horse, it was a bucking bull.
That's too
Yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah,
too
very cool.
So then how old was he when he realized, did he always act like a cowboy?
Oh,
or?
always. When he was a baby, I couldn't even get him to watch cartoons. It was Lonesome Dove.
Mm-hmm.
When he was literally like 2.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. And the snake scene would come on in the river,
Yeah.
and you would hear Cinch's feet go patter, patter, patter across the room because he would leave, and then you knew exactly when to come back and you'd hear patter, 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 and then he'd run back in the room because he didn't like to watch that scene.
Watch that part.
Yeah, but yeah, same. We did not watch cartoons at all.
Yeah, well, it was like, I don't even think that Cort knew what was going on. He was so little, but, he just liked the horses and the cows and the scenery and just the whole thing of it. But when he started cussing, we had to cut him. When he started cussing at 2 and 3, we had to cut him off of that movie for a little while.
Yeah. I was just thinking the other day, we were driving when Cinch was little, and he was like, "Look at that hooker," and I was like, "Excuse me, what?" And he was like, "That bull," and I was like, "Oh, that one. Okay, yes."
Yeah, you know the problem. Yeah.
But again, I didn't grow up in Western world, so that wasn't my first thought.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And when he was so little, he could hardly even fit his feet in the stirrups, up on a horse, and he would walk around the arena and sit like the guy did on Lonesome Dove and act like he had tobacco and spit it. He was like 3. So,
Yeah.
So we just knew, that's
Yeah.
the direction he was going to go, because he just, from the day he was born, he loved the cowboy lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. So what's the first thing he ever entered?
So the first thing he ever entered was in Stephenville, the mutton busting.
Okay.
He was like 5, and I have this picture, so someday if he ever makes the finals, I'm going to post it on social.
Be ready?
Yeah, be ready, because I'm going to post it on social media, and it's going to be, the things where they say how it started and how it's going.
Yes.
Yeah, because his very first ride on a sheep, we have a picture of him with his chaps on and his vest and his hat and everything, and he's like 4 or 5, and he's going like this. Like looking at the sheep, and his dad's crouched down, like talking to him, like it's gonna be okay. Yeah, we got
Did he
a
do
picture
good?
of it. And he won.
He did. Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so it was kind of funny because he rode like all the way down the arena. The sheep took off. He rides all the way down the arena. He starts falling off to the side, but he's still hanging on, right? And he's like looking at the feet running. He's still hanging on, and then he kind of falls off, and the sheep kind of runs over him. And I'm thinking, oh no, he's gonna get up bawling, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna be crying. And he stood up, and he was just grinning from ear to ear. Bullrider was born.
Done. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so then he started, then he graduated into calves, and then steers, and then he also got on his very first bull when he was about 14, like 8th grade, in Stephenville, and he won it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, so success like early on.
Yes.
Was there ever any option or discussion of being a town event cowboy, holding a rope, swinging a rope?
Yes. Okay, so all growing up, he competed in region rodeos through school, and he competed in the AJRA rodeos, and he did... and he roped. He did calf roping some when he was little, breakaway, all that when he was little. As he got older, he narrowed it down to team roping and bull riding. And then when he went to college, he started saddlebrook as well.
Okay. Does he still dabble in team roping?
Oh yeah, he loves to team rope.
Oh, does he? Okay.
And he does a lot of ranch work. He's a very good roper, yes.
Yeah, so we were talking that we've been around each other a long time, but we really didn't interact, and I don't know if it was that separation of the time event and the rough stock events, or what it was, but it was like I sat with the roping moms and the rough stock moms or something, I don't know. There was just, we always passed each other, but really didn't have that interaction.
For years.
Yeah, and so we didn't really know each other.
Right.
Yeah, but recognized each other, knew we had kids that were rodeoing. Yeah, so really, really interesting. So when he goes to get on his first bull at 14,
yes.
What are you feeling? What are you thinking? Are you a nervous wreck? Did you, and was there ever a time when you didn't want him to be a bull rider? Were you like, it's too dangerous?
No, I never felt that way because we had a talk about it. I still remember it very well. We were in the car driving one day and we started talking about it, and I said, because he had some injuries, when he was younger, and I said, are you sure that that's what you want to do, and so forth, and so we kind of brought up the injuries, and he said, no, I'm okay with it. I know that, you know, if something happens to me or whatever, I'm okay with it because it's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was okay with it.
Okay.
Because if that's what he wants to do, and when I see that grin of his, after he's ridden and he's done really well, and when we finally meet up after the rodeo and he comes walking up and he still has that grin on him like he's 5 years old, it just makes my heart melt, and I would never stop him from doing that. No.
Yeah. What is it about boys smile influencing their
With their
moms,
mamas.
right? Like they can get anything, just smile the right way, and
Yes.
whatever you did bad, I'm not mad anymore, right? Like,
Yeah, and they're still your little boy
Yeah.
at that moment. Yeah, they're still
Yeah.
your little boy, and I still see his face like he was still a little boy to me, always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny that you brought up about the mutton busting and what was going to happen, because as a rodeo kid, Cinch grew up very similar, it sounds like, and but there weren't roping events yet at that young of an age, right? Like
Right.
mutton busting, and there was some dummy roping at that time, but not as much. And you know, he just wanted to do anything he could do.
Yes.
So we started out mutton busting, and he got on a sheep, and kind of like you, I have this classic picture of Cinch, but his face is this deep in the dirt, and the rest of his body is not touching the dirt yet. And at that moment, he was like, "I'm done."
Yeah,
Like he wasn't crying, he wasn't sad, but like, this isn't for me.
he was like, "This isn't for me,"
This
and I
is
think
not for
that's
me.
the way it is. It's like
Yeah.
they either come up saying, "Ooh, I don't want to do that again," or "I'm hooked."
Yeah, and kind of the same thing though, when they have early success at something, they are like
Yes,
hooked, right? So
yes.
we went to our first breakaway roping and won it, and we were like, I remember being like, we're gonna win everything, this is awesome.
And you did.
Well, kind of, right?
I remember, growing up and watching, you know, since we've been going to the same rodeos,
Yeah.
I've watched Cinch too grow up
Yeah.
and watched him ride. You know, it's
Yeah.
amazing to see them grow up and get to that level and watch their successes, no matter whose kid they are.
I know.
You love it, yeah.
Yeah, I remember we got approached about a reality show for rodeo families,
Oh,
and what you just said is why the show didn't get optioned. Why it didn't get picked up? Because there wasn't enough drama. We, like the
Right.
moms, were taking care of each other's kids, we're feeding each other's kids,
Yes.
we're keeping time.
Taking
The
care of
dads are
business.
sharing horses. The one dad is mugging for another kid's.
Yeah, it's a
so,
lot
you know,
of
like-
work, actually, yeah.
yeah, and so there was no drama because we weren't fighting, and the show was like, well, we need drama, and we were like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah,
You're like,
there's
we're here
probably
to take care of business.
there's probably some, but this isn't
Right.
where you're gonna get it, right?
Yeah.
So he goes, and it sounds like Cory was really successful,
Uh-huh.
and then now you have Cort, who immediately has early success, but
Yes.
busted and on his first bull.
Yes.
So when was the first real down for Cort?
You mean like disappointment or
Like loss, like slump, like
well, what's gonna jump out in my head is when he started getting hurt a little bit. Of course, he was. I'll back up a little bit. He was a good athlete all the way around, all growing up. He played football, he played soccer, baseball, track. He did all the sports and was
what school did he go to? What high school?
Coleman.
Okay.
And he was successful in all those things. So he broke his collarbone in football. He tore his ACL riding bulls. He broke a bone in his pelvis riding bulls. He broke his wrist. So he had a lot of injuries during like junior high and high school. So that kind of set him back a little bit. And then he struggled kind of finding his way after the injuries and all that. So during that time was probably when I saw him the saddest and the most depressed. So
Well, that's a tough time
struggling with
already
that.
because with teenage boys, growth spurts and changing bodies. And I remember having
Exactly.
growing pains and leg aches.
Oh,
and
and we had that too. I don't know if anybody that's ever seen Cort, he has the longest legs you've ever seen in your life. He does not look like a typical bull rider.
yeah, he's tall for a bull
He's
rider.
very tall, and his legs grew way before the rest of his body did. So for a while there, his growth plate on his knees, anytime they got hit, I mean, it just killed him. It was very painful. So we had to go through that.
Yeah.
And so during like I guess he probably didn't have as good of a high school career as he had wanted because of injuries, and it took him a while to kind of get going again.
What was his biggest success up through high school? Like, what was the biggest thing he ever won between like the time he started riding? and
Well, he was
high
an
school?
AJRA world champion,
Mhm.
a bull riding world champion, and so he did really well at that. And then he won several events that were important to him through that time. But yeah, he was the world champion AJRA.
Mhm.
So
Okay. Yeah, those AJs. Oh,
And then
man.
he always made the state finals in bull riding, and he usually made it in the team roping as well. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So you and I were talking like before we started recording, and I feel like we should have had the conversation before the conversation because we got into some really interesting stuff. But
Right.
being a mom of a male rodeo athlete, I feel like it's a unique perspective. From my experience and kind of from what you shared and from what I've talked to other moms, it's usually the dad that's the coach.
Right.
And unlike traditional sports, there's not another outside coach.
Exactly.
And so it creates a unique dynamic in the family where the parents are the coaches and the parents.
Right.
And the financial backers, you know, like everything.
Yes,
You're the everything.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it was a little different for me because Cory and I got divorced when Cort was 2 years old.
Mhm.
So we went through his whole childhood and all his rodeoing as divorced parents. We always got along really well, so that was a plus. But it was still different being the mother because, of course, I can't ride a bull and,
Yeah.
and carry all the things and all that. So when Cort was 5th grade, I think, he moved in with his dad so that he could be around his horses and things like that full time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, by then he knew that that was really what he wanted to do. So he moved in with him, and that was hard for me, but I knew that that was what was best for him to follow that path.
And it's not like traditional co-parenting where it's like, this is your weekend and this is my weekend, because with rodeo, that's not possible. Like if he has horses, he's got to be there to take care of the horses, and then we're entering
not.
rodeos, and there's no like,
No.
there's none of that like scheduled
You are
custody,
absolutely
right?
correct. You know, everybody's like, well, what weekends do you have? You know, I'm like, we don't follow that because we just have to do our own schedule.
Yeah, we're just trying to hang in there and keep all the animals and the kids and everything alive.
Exactly. And a lot of times, you know, that was my only time to get to see Cort was if I went to his rodeo because he was with his dad all week going to school and I just had to go to a rodeo and meet up with them and see him there. So I went everywhere I could go, you know, just so I could watch him and spend time with him. Yes.
So you and Cory were already a part at this time. So did you go over and help him practice, or was that awkward? Like,
no, you know, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to that, you know. So, I mean, I've watched it enough, no doubt, that I probably know it pretty well, but I trust that Cory knows what he's doing, and I always trusted Cory to not push him too far or to push him enough. I just really trusted Cory in that area to give Cort all the tools he needed and all the coaching. And no, I just sat in the stands and cheered.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a rodeo mom job is so different. I mean, I used to carry, like, they called it my life pack because I was like, okay, I've got the iPad to do the video, and I've got pins to keep up with the times and scores, and, you know, like, I've got the snacks and whatever else I needed, right?
Yeah,
like,
I was
extra
like,
things.
you know, I tried to feed him and, you know, all that. And that was my job, not telling him how to ride a bull.
Yeah. So did you have a clique of other rodeo moms that you hung out with, or?
Not really, because he was always in a different region from where I lived, so I actually didn't know a lot of them.
Okay.
But my family, bless their hearts, I mean, they are hardcore, you know, grandparents at every, so I always had my family with me. And then a lot of times when Cort was growing up, I was in school for a lot of that time as he got older, so I went through nursing school, and I studied a lot because you know how anybody that's ever been to a youth rodeo, they can last forever, and you know, it only takes a few seconds to watch your kid. So yeah, so I did a lot of studying at rodeos while I was watching. So
that's so I can't believe how much you and I have in common just in the little bit that we've been talking this evening.
I bet you did as well.
Yeah, same. I was in school while Cinch was in junior or in high school, and same thing. Like I kind of got a lot of flack from people because I would isolate myself up in the bleachers because
I did too, but
I had books and studies, and I wrote my dissertation literally in the bleachers of the rodeo arena. You know, like
I get it.
Yeah, so you know.
Yeah, I learned A and P in the bleachers.
Yeah, and those are not easy subjects.
No. So no, we should have known each other.
I know, like the nerds with the backpacks. That's us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't really have a lot of rodeo mom. I mean, enough that you said hi to people or whatever. But yeah, mostly I kind of isolated myself as well, and sometimes I. 'Cause I would feel out of. 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 '
little bit of loving, just a little bit the real thing. You're the good treasure, my missing piece. Good as gold, yeah, that's guaranteed. Give a little bit of loving, just a little bit the real thing.